Let's sail from Brač towards Hvar, the longest and sunniest Adriatic island, where the sun will warm you 2,720 hours a year, and where, if you're in diving luck, you can see the prettiest seahorses in the waters around the west coast. On the slopes of the island's hills grows the Mediterranean's highest quality lavender, and along the road from Vrbanja to Humac, you can come across a farm of some of the world's most inquisitive ostriches. Before starting our school trip, a word of warning to yachtsmen. The winds in the channels around Hvar will often be stronger than elsewhere, and the mitigating maestral often creates very fair-sized waves in the Hvar channel in summer. We'll start our voyage around Hvar from the centre of the northern side of the island, from picturesque Jelsa, fairly much exposed to the Bora, where sailors can tie up in a depth of 2 or 3 metres on the western side of the quay, in front of the harbour master's office, while the eastern quay is meant for regular shipping lines. Take a stroll through the town to the market and stop at the attractive marketplace by St. John's Church. On the western leg you can anchor and bathe next to the nearby Glavica Point, and then sail into the remarkable little place called Vrboska, which, with its canals, suggests a miniature Venice. As well as a marine filling station, there is a marina in the town, and above it the Gardaland restaurant, where they do an excellent cuttlefish risotto. In the town there is a unique church and fortress of St. Mary's, built quite out of the ordinary pattern, which really deserves a visit. We'll sail on to the west, where the first comfortable anchorage is provided by the southern side of the naturist island of Zečevo, and then go on to Basina Bay, that, with its 3 inlets, provides good shelter. The voyage on towards Stari Grad is marked by numerous coves, but in many, anchoring is forbidden because of the marine cables, which is, luckily, not so in the case of the deep bay of Župava, a good refuge and a nice place to swim in, where you'll think you've tied up in some saltwater lake. If you turn off after Cabal Point into Stari Grad Bay, drop anchor and have a swim in one of the 7 inlets of Tiha Bay, the best natural haven in this part of the Hvarrian coast. In Stari Grad itself, try to find a mooring on the southern quay after the pier with the lighthouse, and then do take a walk along the narrow little streets, look in at the Hektorovich summer mansion, and, when you're hungry, drop in at the Urin Podrum Tavern for anglerfish in lemon sauce. In the next part of the voyage westward toward Pellegrin Point, there is once again a quite rugged coastline with a dozen coves, particularly Gračišće, Lučišće, Veričina, and Stiniva, all 4 of them with nice beaches for swimming and sunbathing, and the last with a jetty for mooring at. We ought also to mention the pleasant anchorage in Duga Bay, and the next one, Paria, stands out for its beauty, its idyllic little wood and its restaurant, although it has dangerous shoals on the western entrance. Here we are now at the southern coast of the island, where our first port of call will be Hvar town itself, where there are just a few moorings on the eastern part of the quay, and in the summer there is often nothing to be done but anchor in the port itself. Hvar is one of the nicest cities in the Adriatic and a well-known tourist centre. If you like the summer hustle and bustle, then this is the place for you. But it's also worth taking a look at the city walls and the 15th century Fortica Bastion, the opulent city loggia, and the main square with St. Stephen's Cathedral. Hvar has a vibrant nightlife as well, and in its squares, cafes and promenades, you'll come upon buskers, portrait painters and artists, summer cocktail kings, and hot-blooded dancers. We're heading on towards the east, where, passing by the island of Pokonni Dol with its lighthouse, we'll come upon the town of Milna, after which it's a good idea to tie up in idyllic Dubavica Bay, where, alongside a nice pebble beach, there are 2 informal gastronomic points. Sailing on, you'll be impressed by the steep coast with the best Hvar vineyards, but a shortage of good havens. In fair weather, it's sensible to stay in the little port of Sveta Nedelja, or in the town of Zaglav, the logical point of departure for the neighbouring island of Shchedra. Between sailing on round Hvar and exploring the interior, we opted for the latter because of the exceptionally attractive and real little villages scattered around the centre of the island. Set aside some time for a visit to idyllic Brucia, where some of the inhabitants have made museums in their own houses, and where the local donkeys have an unusual penchant for football. And then move on over Old Grablia to look around Svietja, Vrisnik, and the original little place called Pitve, where it's worth dropping in at Komin, a tavern serving organic food. If you go on the same road towards the south, you'll pass through a remarkable tunnel dug out of solid rock. And then turn down to Sveta Nedelja, where it's worth tasting the fine wines in the Plenković winery.